That's so strange.
That might be an overall problem.
So
Because it didn't
I
say
think we're
around.
live streaming now.
Yeah, we're live.
We are?
Yeah.
Thank you. Then once again, we will begin by acknowledging that we are gathered today in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral, present, and future territory of the Mi'kmaq people. And this morning, we gather with the intent followed by the living peace and friendship treaties. We do so with respect, cooperation, and coexistence. Welcome, everyone, to this special meeting of the Mahone Bay Town Council. And welcome to the people at home who are joining us via the YouTube connection. We have a relatively short agenda today. We have one item that will be discussed, the major part of the discussion in the open session. And then there'll be a closed session that has been added to the agenda. And it's under the MGA Article 22(2)G. A discussion of an item with a solicitor-client privilege. Okay, with that.
We're getting feedback from the cell
Are we?
phone connection. Yes.
Okay, we are having some technical issues today, so if all of a sudden you hear Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer by Gene Autry, you'll know what the kind of problems that we're having. Let's go to item number 1, the approval of the agenda that was emailed out as amended with the closed session. Councillor Carter moves, Councillor Now seconds. On the question, all in favor? Motion's carried. Thank you. Let's go to the first item for discussion, review of the electric utility rules and regulations. I think there were a couple of handouts as well that were included in the email. CAO?
I will hand this over to our manager of finance, Ashley Aiden Wenzel is here with us today. And we're also joined on screen and by phone with by Paula Zarnett from BDR. So maybe we can get, Ashley, are you comfortable introducing where we are with this?
Yeah, so good morning. I think that most of the rules and regulations for everybody on Tuesday, it was a very, very, very rough draft. This is kind of an ever evolving situation right now, as in yesterday, there's kind of been a shift in what we plan on doing again to present to you guys for getting your advice. So essentially, what has been decided yesterday on an area call is that we're going to possibly hold off on amending the rules and regulations until a later date, submitting it to the board and only submitting to the board the change in the poll costs. Reason being is that just to kind of not convolute the situation with the board and to really focus on what the interests that we really want is the rate increase. Now, this doesn't have to be, this is just another option. And obviously the other option is the rules and regulations that you've seen there. I don't know if everyone had a chance to read it, but there's quite a few amendments in there. Most of them are very similar to what we have now. It's just a slight change. So for example, billing, and maybe we had 30-day billing, now let's go to a 45-day billing. So there's nothing huge that has been changed in that. Did you send out the revised version that Nancy? No, okay, so within this rules and regulations, the one thing that we are taking out of it, providing we're sending this entire package to the board, is the deferral of the fee as well as the deposit. It's noted in there that it could potentially be deferred over a 12-month, or not deferred, sorry, paid over a 12-month period as opposed to when it's billed and due. We're going to remove that. We don't feel that that is appropriate for our town. So kind of status quo to what we have now. So ignore that section. But yeah, so I don't know if anyone has any questions or comments. Again, it was suggested yesterday that we may just, apply for this later in the year. and I'm later in the year, I mean like January, February, but focus right now on just the rate increase and the poll charges. So obviously we'll hear from council. I have Paula here to answer any questions. She helped, she was very actively involved in producing this, so she will be a great resource for the specific questions. So.
If I could. oh, sorry.
Absolutely.
Council, I'm sorry.
Just to say that where we haven't had a significant rate increase in so many years, the essential issue here is that these rules and regs are so outdated and they warrant another look. Which is when all of this started and which is when the work started with BDR. Where we are now is because we are in such an unusual position where we've had to seek a rate increase because of factors beyond our control. And now we're not 100% sure what's going to happen with Nova Scotia power charges and what that does to us. This is all very time sensitive, really. So really the big issue now is leave the rest of it alone for a later time. Except those poll charges are it's one thing, it's quick, it's simple, makes a lot of sense. Do that now and then come back to the other stuff later. And as Ashley mentioned, this was something that was discussed on the area call yesterday. And the reason it was discussed is because everyone's kind of in the same situation and we're saying, so why don't we look at this together in the future and come to the UARB together and say the municipal utilities have looked at our rules and regs. And we're saying, as working together, we suggest this would be a good way to go. That also makes it a little bit, looks better for the UARB. It's easier for them and it doesn't slow down things, which would have a lasting impact on, or well, have an impact on our electric utility customers or our taxpayers, which is what happens if we don't adjust this rate so that it goes to users. So that's why we're talking, that's why it came up. And that's why we're now looking at saying, let's just look at the poll attachment, please. Sorry.
Okay, Council Wilson, had a question.
Yeah, I guess in light of what the CAO just said, my question changes because what I'm wondering now is Riverport on board with this approach for the short term, and this notion of having a long-term submission from all of the municipalities, municipal electrical units, would that, for example, include Lunenburg? And if not, why not? And if it does, are all of those other people, Antigonish and Berwick and so on board with this approach as well? Or do we have to renegotiate that whole thing?
If I may, yes, Riverport is on board with this. And the reason we're using Riverport's model is because they are currently finishing this up. So this is real-time work that's happening with BDR. So as with so many things, there's no need to reinvent the wheel. So yes, Riverport's on board with this, as are our area partners. As with anything with the Lunenburg Electric Utility, that will depend on whether those are their decisions. We're not really sure. Absolutely, if we go forward with that as a group, we would certainly reach out to Lunenburg. It just makes a lot of sense, but we don't know what they'll do. We can't guess what they'll say, but we would definitely reach out to them and say, we're doing this as the remaining municipal utilities in Nova Scotia. If you'd like to join us, we'd love to have you part of it.
Deputy Mayor, you got it.
So based on what you said today, the question for us on the table is whether we want to put the poll charges to be $22 per year.
Exactly.
Simply that.
I'm sorry, whether we have what?
We have to, we're putting in effect a $22 per year charge on poll attachments. That's the only thing. Okay.
Yeah, a lot has happened over the week and a lot happened yesterday. We are, unfortunately, we are in a time sensitive situation. So we wanted to get all the information out to you. But happily, in this case, in the time sensitive situation, what happens is it all dialed back to, as the deputy mayor said, one question. So if council is comfortable with us making that amendment to our rules and regulations, Staff would appreciate a motion to approve, to direct staff to amend the rules and regulations for submission to the Utility and Review Board to reflect the pole attachment fee, and then we will take care of that and get it into Utility and Review Board.
Okay,
Mhm.
is that it?
Sorry, I just had, in some of the documentation under, I think, section 5.1, we're talking about the net metering charges and fees. Is that not, that's not part of the conversation this morning?
That's correct.
Okay, fair
We've whittled away everything except for one thing, so.
enough. Okay,
So nothing is going to change except
Except
for
for-
the $2 pole connection fee.
That's right. I would, of course, just like to say that, of course, if we find issues with commas or spelling, we would make any kind of housekeeping amendments, that sort of thing, but nothing material would change other than that one thing, the poll charge.
Okay,
So do you have a motion that I can read?
So staff would be looking for a motion for council to direct staff to amend the electric utility rules and regulations to reflect, what's the, some wording here, to include a pole attachment charges of $22 per year. And submit the rules and regulations to the Nova Scotia Utility and Review Board.
Mhm.
So,
and do I understand that that brings us in line or with Antigonish and Berwick?
Antigonish isn't at that point yet, but that is also what Berwick is doing. We're a little bit further ahead than Berwick, but that's
Okay.
also their plan.
Okay,
so,
Deputy Mayor,
so
so moved. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Feeney seconds. You've heard the motion. On the question. All in favor? Motion's carried.
Thank you.
So there's a couple other points that I think we need to bring up to discuss regarding the rate. The first one is because the rate doesn't look like it'll be implemented until about March, that there's a gap between what we had hoped the rate would be as of effective January 1st. And so there'll be a gap of several months, kind of lost revenue. So we've spoke to BDR about that and to discuss ways that we can recoup those losses or prepare for those losses. And this is one of the reasons Paula has joined us today, so she can kind of go through those. If everyone's okay with Paula stepping in and going through that.
Is she gonna
I think she's
write
here.
little signs or? Deputy Mayor?
based on the technology issues, if it's just for us to listen to, we can do it another time. It's a public meeting. If the public cannot hear what Paula is saying, then
That's
we can
true.
give the service to.
That's true. I can go through.
See, because she is on the cell phone that's here, so theoretically, if we can hear her, do you want to see if that's, or did you just want to start again? Yeah, because we'd only hear her from her phone. So if that phone works, would council be comfortable with that?
Yeah, but I want to check to make sure that the public can hear, but maybe we can hear here, but it might be very historical.
I can go through the three items that Paula was gonna list out, and then maybe we can defer conversation later or questions later, but I can just.
Yeah.
But can we see if we can hear Paula? Paula, will you say
That's a good
something?
point, though.
Hello?
Oh. It's gonna be feedback loop there.
Yeah, okay, yeah, there is gonna be a feedback loop, that one. Okay, so then do we just want to maybe actually? Not much.
We seem to have a feedback loop as well, Paula, which makes it difficult to clearly hear what you're saying.
The only way it would work is if Paula, when you're speaking, if you
Mhm.
have your speaker off on your, but then she can't hear us. communicating back,
Yeah.
so.
Well, maybe.
Why don't we,
Can you hear us from the through the cell phone, Paula?
I can. It's not as good as what I would hear on my computer, but I now have both my computer speaker off and my microphone muted.
Okay, so you can hear us through your phone, okay?
Yeah,
Maybe we put the phone in the middle of the table would help.
Where's the actual microphone? Is here, isn't it? Here, Kelly. Yeah, maybe someone with longer arms.
Okay, so if, I will check and see what this sounds like on YouTube. You guys need to have some conversations.
So is this an agenda item?
This is while we're talking about the review of the electric utility rules and regulations. Our manager of finance wants to take an opportunity. As I said, a lot has changed. She wants to introduce some discussion to you, just so you have a sense of what's going on. So this would not be something we'd be looking for a motion for. This is an update. So if council is comfortable having that discussion now, the action item that we were looking for, council's made a decision, then great, we know what to do with that. But since we're discussing this, if that's helpful, then
But is this conversation specific to rules and regulations? Or-
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
I'll
Oh,
say something.
Paula, say something.
okay. So
We can, but
Yeah,
I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
we can hear you.
There's like 30 seconds.
There's a bit of a delay with YouTube.
Mhm.
Elon Musk is gonna fix that over the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you find somebody
Work for him.
to do the work.
You want to have that conversation this morning? Well, it doesn't.
In light of some of the technical issues we're having, maybe we should just do this another time, just to make sure that, yeah, that makes sense. Paula, thank you so much for joining us, especially the staff know how much work you put into being here for this morning. Thank you, we appreciate it. It's just, it doesn't seem like it's gonna work so well. So we'll, Ashley and I will follow up with you.
Yeah, probably a good decision.
So-
Thanks, Paula.
Thank you very much.
We apologize to the citizens who have joined us via YouTube that we've had to cut the discussion on this agenda item short because of technical problems. And we will work to find out what caused the problem and why it should not, we'll try and make it not happen again. Okay, is there anything anyone would like, did you want to add anything or we're gonna?
No, I think we've probably made the best decision for the circumstances.
All right.
And if I may, your worship, I'd just like to really reinforce that this is something we can come back to. And we
Yes.
will come back to at another time, but
This was not a time-sensitive discussion, unlike the portion that we got the motion.
right, and staff, we're very aware of how it's not ideal to get information last minute. So we were gonna take the opportunity to get everybody caught up, but we can do that again in the future. So thank you very much.
Okay. Then let's go with the only other item on the agenda is a closed session piece. So we would entertain a motion to go in camera. So moved by Councillor Feeney, seconded by Councillor Wilson, all in favor. Motion's carried. We are going in camera. Thank you to the citizens at home who took the time to join us this morning.